Hi everyone, I'm Nick Olivo, and today we'll see how to programmatically create token action buttons, and then how to conditionally show or hide those buttons. Now, you may be wondering, Nick, why would I ever want to do this? Well, imagine you've got a monster like the Queen of Scorpions here. She can shapeshift into a human form, a giant scorpion, or her true form. And depending on which form she's in, different attacks are available to her. So what I'll show you today is how to build macros that will switch her into a specific form and then only display token action buttons for attacks that are relevant to that form. Now, we will be using mods for this, so a pro account will be required to do what I'm about to show you. Before we dive in, I'd just like to thank Roll20 for sponsoring this video. When all is said and done, we'll be able to click a button to transform the Scorpion Queen into a new form, and then when we click off and back onto her token, we'll only see buttons that are relevant to her new form. Now, in order to do this, we need to install a few mods. So the first mod we're going to install is called Token Mod, which comes to us from the arcane scriptomancer himself, the Aaron. And Token Mod is going to be used to switch the image that's displayed for the token when we switch the Scorpion Queen from one form to another. We're also going to install Token Action Maker, which comes to us from the amazing Keith Curtis, Kevin, and Brett. And this mod is going to allow us to quickly build out those buttons that allow us to perform the various attacks and special abilities that the Scorpion Queen possesses. And then finally, we want to install showbuttons, which comes to us from the Metamancer himself, Timaw, and showbuttons is what's going to allow us to turn those buttons on or off depending on which form the Scorpion Queen is in. Now, if you're not familiar with installing mods, all you need to do is go into the mod library right here, search for the mod that you're interested in, and then add it to your game. Once all that's done, let's jump back into the Roll20 game. And the first thing I'm going to do is create a rollable table token for the Scorpion Queen. And what that's going to do is allow us to switch between different images for her when she shifts between human versus scorpion versus her true form. So what you want to do is go over to the collections tab here in Roll20, and you're going to want to create a new rollable table. Just click add, and that will create a new rollable table down at the bottom of the list. I've already started creating mine. I've called it Queen of Scorpions token, and you can see I've already got two images in here, one for her human form and one for her giant scorpion form. So what I want to do is get the regular token image into this rollable table here, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to click on the token on the battlefield, we're going to press Z on the keyboard, that gives us this zoomed view, and then we just right click on the image and say save image as. I'm going to call this something incredibly creative like S-Queen TrueForm, click save, and then once that's done, I'm going to click off of that, say add item, and then just drag that new image onto right here, and we'll give this a name of TrueForm. We go, and we'll say save changes, and now we will save changes here. Okay, so now we can see that we have three sides on our rollable token. Now what we're going to do is click token, and that puts the token onto the battlefield. Here it is, and if we right click on it, we see it's multi-sided. We can choose a side. We've got the human, the scorpion, and the true form, so this is all good. And now what we want to do is double click on this token, and we're going to set it so that it represents the Queen of Scorpions. There we go. Awesome. And now what we're going to do is set the bars real fast. So we're going to say that bar 1 is going to be the HP. So we'll select that, and we'll put on the 142 hit points. And bar 2 will be her AC, which is NPC AC. Right there, which is a 17. Okay, and now the final thing we're going to do is say update default token. And that's going to make this new multi-sided token that we've just created the default for the Queen of Scorpions if we drag her out onto another battle map. We'll save our settings. There we go. And now I'm going to delete the original Queen of Scorpions token here. And now we've got our new token ready to go. So with that done, let's open up the Queen of Scorpions character sheet. I'm just going to alt double click on our token here, open up the sheet. And what we want to do is create token actions for all of the attacks and abilities that she has. So let's scoot our character sheet out to the side for a minute. And to create those token actions, we're going to select her token. And then in chat, we're going to type the following command, !TA. This is going to use the token action script that we installed to create token action buttons for her. So if I click on her token again, now we have all these buttons that tie specifically to the abilities on her character sheet. And this is a great start. Now we have the ability to right-click on her token, switch her between different forms, and then we have all of the abilities on the toolbar here that we can use to perform the various attacks. But what I want to do is make it so that we don't have to right-click on her token and switch things. I want to be able to just click a button and switch her from one form to the other. And then I want all these buttons to reflect which form she's actually in. So a couple of things that we're going to do to make that happen. So first thing I'm going to do is swing over my trusty Notepad++ window here. And let's stretch this out so we have some more screen real estate. And we'll scroll so we've got the Queen of Scorpions in view. Move her character sheet here. All right, awesome. And what we're going to do is create 3 macros, one for each form that she's going to transform into. So we're going to have one for her human form, one for her scorpion form, and one for her true form. So let's start out with the human form. So first thing we're going to do is put in a call to token mod. And the call to token mod is going to look like this, where we say !token-mod, set currentside 1, scale 1 unit. What that means is we're going to set the current side of the multi-sided token to image number 1, which is the human form. And then the scale 1 unit means that the token will be sized so that it is 1 square big, which seems kind of obvious, but because the scorpion form really should be a giant scorpion, we're going to want to be able to make sure that the token is properly sized if we switch from scorpion form back down to human form. And we can test this real quick just by copying this line and then running it in chat. Make sure you've got the Scorpion Queen selected there. Run that command, and there we go. We've switched back to human form. Fantastic. So let's copy this line, and we're going to put it into the Scorpion macro here, and then we'll also put it into the TrueForm macro, and we're just going to make a couple of quick tweaks. We're going to change the current side to 2 for the Scorpion token, and we're going to make it 2 units big, and then we're going to change the TrueForm to be side 3, and it's also back down to 1 unit. So again, we can test these real quick. We're just going to run this command right here. Again, make sure that the Scorpion Queen's token is highlighted. This should put her into Scorpion form and make her 2 units big. There we go. And then this one should put her onto her true form and also make her 1 unit big again. And there we go. Okay, so all that is working properly. Excellent. So now what we want to do is get it so that only the relevant buttons are displayed for each form. And to start this out, the first thing I'm going to do is go back into her character sheet. We're going to go to the attributes and abilities section, and this is where all of the token buttons are actually stored. And what I'm going to do is make a couple of tweaks here. I'm going to edit the names of these just so it's just claw instead of scorpion form only. And I'm going to get rid of the true or humanoid form only, simply because this just adds extra space onto the buttons, and I like to have the buttons as tight as possible. So we're just going to make a couple more tweaks here. Okay, cool. And now if I click off and back onto our token, we can see that the buttons descriptions are shorter and it's a little tighter. Okay, great. But now let's go ahead and let's put in the code to hide the buttons that we want to hide and show the ones that we want to show. And that can be done with code that looks like this. So !showbuttons, we're calling the showbuttons command, which is going to hide or show a given button. We're going to show the following buttons: the scimitar, the L-scimitar, which is the legendary action scimitar, and then we're going to hide the claw, the sting, and the legendary actions burrow. Now you'll notice that I have Queen of Scorpions here in quotes, and that's because the Queen of Scorpions has spaces in her character sheet name. So in order for Roll20 to know that the entire Queen of Scorpions bit here is the actual name of the character we're manipulating, we need to enclose that in quotes. And then we have a pipe, and then the name of the button that we want to show or hide, respectively. So again, we can test this if we highlight this whole bit of code, copy it, put it into the chat, and run it. We get this quick report telling us that we are actually hiding and showing things. And then if we click off and back onto the token, we can see that only those items are there. So the scimitar is there, the legendary scimitar is there, but the claw is no longer there, the sting is no longer there, the burrow is no longer there. And we'll talk about how to hide this output in chat a little bit later, but for right now, I want to leave it on while we're testing to make sure that everything works properly. So now it's a similar process for the Scorpion form. I'm just going to paste in some code there. And again, what we're doing is showing the claw and the sting and the legendary action burrow, but we're hiding her scimitar and her L-scimitar because in that Scorpion form, she won't have access to her sword. So again, let's test that out. We'll just copy this. We'll click off of her token. We'll paste in that command. And now let's click back on here and we can see that we have burrow and we have sting and we have claw, but we no longer have access to the scimitar. And then one more time for her true form. Again, we're going to be showing the scimitar and the legendary scimitar. We'll also show her burrow, but we'll be hiding the claw. So let's select all this, copy it, throw it into chat. And there we go. Now we can see that we just have those buttons where we no longer have access to the claw, but we've got her burrow, her scimitar, and so on. So now that we're happy with how this is working, let's suppress this report that's being displayed in chat. And the way we can do that is by adding this silent flag to the end of the show button command. So let's copy this and let's click in here. Let's run this. Okay, we didn't get a report this time, but when we click on our token again, the claw and sting have been hidden, but the scimitar is available. So we're just gonna put that silent flag on the other lines as well. Okay, so now let's put it all together. We're gonna copy this entire thing here for the human. Let's open up her character sheet. And what I'm gonna do is go to attributes and abilities, say add. That's gonna add a new ability. I'm just gonna scroll down here, find that new ability, and I'm gonna name that ability XHuman for transform into human. And we'll paste that code in there. And then I'm also going to have one for XScorpion. And that'll have the code for the scorpion transformation right here. And then we'll also create one more for her true form. So XTrueForm. And that'll be this code right here. All right, now we're going to make all of these token actions. 1, 2, 3. We'll close the character sheet and click back off and on again. We can see now we have the transforms. So let's go ahead and let's try these out. Let's try switching her to human. Okay, so she's switched into human form, and we can see that we have the scimitar and the L-scimitar, so that's good. Let's switch her to scorpion. Okay, we've got scorpion form now, and we can see that we have the burrow ability, we have the claw, we have the sting, but we no longer have the scimitars. And now let's switch her to true form. And back here, now we've got burrow again, which is good. We've got this scimitar, good, but the claw is hidden. All right, fantastic. So this is now working properly. Now, some of you may be thinking, hey, Nick, shouldn't you hide the XTrueForm button once she's in TrueForm? Yes, absolutely, we can do that. And the approach is going to be exactly the same to the other buttons that we've created. In fact, what I'm going to do is post updated code in the video description that will show or hide the transform buttons as well. But I didn't want to make this video longer than it needed to be and keep belaboring a particular point. So there you have it. That's how to build token action buttons and then show or hide them. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. And until next time, folks, have a great day.